So right now in America, the Hollywood's entertainment industry has pretty much stopped. It's ground to a halt, and not only just their entertainment industry, but the TV industry as well. Because not only do you have writers on strike, but they've been on strike for a couple of months by now at this point. But also the actors are now going on strike as well. And effectively, whereas the Hollywood could maybe continue with at least without the writers up to a certain point, there was always going to come to a point where, like, well, we've run out of filmable script. At least maybe they could, drag it out, the sort of the production. But you can't even do that if you haven't got the actors to do it. And one of the big things that really should be pointed out is this is a strike where workers are striking to protect their jobs and to stop essentially technology taking their jobs and businesses using technology to replace them for essentially labor that they would have to traditionally pay them for. Also, this is a big discussion about sort of the changing scape of landscape, of how that has changed. Syndication, where a lot of these writers and actors used to get a lot of their pay from, has now almost dried up to a certain point. Syndication is no longer the preferred form for many people to view their TV. It is now very much digital streaming. So it has been sort of a talk about sort of, the technology literally coming to replace people for people's jobs, as we'll find out in a bit, even scarily so in the case of bit part actors. Yeah, I can't believe that the studio actually put this forward. I don't know if it's going to be mentioned in this article, but it's well worth mentioning it if they don't bring it up. But we'll see if they bring it up. But also making sure that you know people get paid for what they are owed for their labor, which is uh, basically the almost the entire history really of strikes. So it is really good to see such solidarity going around. Um, in this as well, especially big name Hollywood stars as well, also getting in on the strike. So we'll see what happens, but this will be interesting to keep an eye on to see how this strike develops. Whether the studios will come to the realization of what they are doing is really really wrong, because so far at the moment, from what we can see, the unions are here and the studios are way off over there. So currently, there seems to be no possibility of ending this strike, at least in the foreseeable future. But we'll see what happens. Well, like I say, this is something that I want to keep an eye on as well, because this to me is fascinating, but it does speak really to the changing face of technology, and of course, um, what do we do about the changing face of technology? We've said before that an answer to this would be to put a robot tax maybe in place. If you um, use an AI or a machine to sort of replace someone, well, you now have to pay a tax for that, which goes towards things like UBI or something else. It could go towards maybe like reskilling, retraining. There's all sorts of stuff it could go forward to, but it's one of the possibilities that is out there, certainly in and around this. So this has been, to be honest, fascinating to watch. But we're going to get into this before we continue. So please do remember to click on that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and an annotation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, there is the YouTube thank you button, and of course, there is the Pony Club down below as well. So let's get into this. First of all, why are writers striking? Because they started first, and then of course this is now led into actors as well. But predominantly, they both share the same thing, and that is, of course, the loss of income from streaming services. Streaming services do not pay the same amount that they used to when it was syndication, because obviously in America, um, TV channels would pay to re-syndicate different programs, and of course, the actors, the writers would get pay from that. But that source of revenue has, well, completely been drying up, very much so because of streaming services. And streaming services, well, they only pay once. And in particular, another thing that we are seeing is, especially amongst the writers and the actors, is the fact that this is changing the face of the schedules that they are using. So they are almost elongating out the filming schedule. So there's whereas you used to do sort of a syndicated show. I mean, Star Trek's the classic example. TNG, when you look at that, sort of the height of syndication almost, when that was being filmed, they were filming, TNG almost every day of the week, from almost dawn till dusk, because they had a schedule, they had an agreement to get it out for syndication, and then you would have a very sort of uh, quite a break in between to give the actors sort of time to rest before then quickly jumping into the next season, and again sort of very intensive heavy filming. But this gave people, or at least people involved in the industry and around working and writing, at least to know, right, well, these next couple of weeks I'm on Star Trek. Now I can sort out to go where I'm going to go next, and the week after that. But the problem is, because of streaming and the way that this has really affected the working practice of the industries, these shoots are now elongated, they're filmed out. So it's very difficult for actors, for writers to move maybe onto something else, or to do multiple projects at the same time, because these new working practices around streaming are making that impossible. So that's one thing they're striking for. AI is another one. Obviously, writers saying, "Hey, studios, we want to make you commit to the idea you are not going to use AI to sort of replace us." Actors as well. It was kind of shocking that you had, I think it was the head of Sag-Aftra came out and said that the offer had been put to them for someone who might play a bit part or anything like that, that you get paid once and then you get scanned digitally, and then they would own your likeness in perpetuity. So you would not get paid if they used you again sort of somewhere else. You'd get paid once and that would be it. So that's terrifying, where you get that sort of work, the extra work almost done, used up. So that generally is sort of terrifying, but it just shows you the level of technological capability where AI is coming into this. And we saw at the screening of Oppenheimer, all the stars walked out because the strike had just been called. So on the London screening, they all walked out and made a very, very big impact on their way out, saying, we are walking out to join our actors and other fellow actors and writers on strike about this. You've seen Margot Robbie recently. Obviously, her big film is Barbie at the moment. Recently, she's been very, very good speaking out about what is going on about this and striking on her sort of social media channels. She made a big point on her London premiere as to why she was striking and why they were going on strike. So it's really important that you do see that solidarity coming together from all of these stars, both big and small, bringing attention to what is going on. But for how long this lasts, I don't know. But you look at what the president of the unions have been saying. There's just such a distance between them and the studios. I don't think this is going to end anytime soon, but we'll see. We'll see. But it's already affecting films already. Deadpool 3, we've heard, has been heavily affected. Game of Thrones House of Dragons has been effectively pushed a year from its filming cycle because of these strikes. But like I say, support the unions in any way, shape, or can. I've heard that they're going to be putting out a hardship fund for people to donate to. There's going to be, I think, a big movement probably soon for people to sort of cancel their streaming services. So look out for that when that comes out, because that will be something I'll be joining in certainly as well to help support, these creatives, because it is really vitally important that we do help support um, these creative industries. And of course, we've got to stop these massive companies taking advantage of these people who create all the shows that we love and love to watch. It's not the big companies, the big executives. It's the people in front of the camera and behind the camera who very often make that magic possible. So we'll see what happens, but I don't foresee this coming to a close anytime soon. I think this could run on for quite some time. But we'll see what happens, and we'll see what happens in the developments in this, because I'm very eager to see how this develops. But like I say, as always, if you want to keep up to date on this or anything like that, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a notification link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me coffee. And of course, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, we'll see you all next time.